everyone, it's review time again, and this time we will be looking at something which I will probably not get into frame in its entirety even once in this review. It is a Kriegsmesser by BlackFencer. So as always, the structure of the review is going to be that I will have my say, and then there will be a picture with the stats that you can just look at, some more pictures after that, different perspectives on the same piece, and after that, of course, as always, some sparring clips just so that you can see the piece in motion, actually. And of course, timestamps so that you can jump around back or forth to the places that you actually want to look at. As always, there's a caveat with this review, and this time it is going to be that, as I keep pointing out, I am not an expert in longsword fencing, and I also haven't looked into any sources that could give you an impression of what you would have actually really done with a Kriegsmesser. So when you look at the sparring clips, what you see me doing is basically just me approximating what I would do with a longsword and taking into account some of the things that I know from messer fencing. What I'm trying to say is basically that if this looks stilted and awkward to you, don't blame it on the Kriegsmesser. That's just on me again. Okay, moving on. Actual ordering process, I would say, is thoroughly uneventful, which I consider a plus, really. We ordered through the BlackFencer site, got a bill, paid by wire transfer this time because this was part of a bigger club order, and then got it in roughly the time that was estimated. So that is great, really. Not much to say in that regard. The actual piece is just pretty much the standard offering, not the new edge shape, but just the kind of like old school standard thicker edge that BlackFencer does. When it comes to the stats, we have a total weight of about 1,130 grams, and that is with a PUB of about 14-ish centimeters and a total length of 118 centimeters. Of that, 90 centimeters are the blade, and then we have a grip that is about 23 centimeters. You have a bit more because of the shape of the pommel, and of course you can always extend down below. Plenty of room, basically. The grip starts at about a 2.2 centimeter in thickness and then just gets thinner, really slightly, 2 centimeters. And it starts at about 3 centimeters, gets a bit thicker in the middle with 3.4 centimeters, and then back to 3 centimeters. So slightly bulged in the middle. It's a very comfortable grip to grip if you are used to messer grips, which are just fairly straight, generally speaking. The cross is 26 centimeters, comfortable and wide, and then of course there is a ring which goes out to about 4.5-ish centimeters, and it's about 6.5 centimeters wide. For the blade, as you can see, it's quite chunky. That's part of the charm, at least for me, really. It starts at the base with 5.8 centimeters and then goes down to 4.7, slims out through about 2.5-ish then when it comes to the tip. And then the actual distal taper, it starts at 18 millimeters, then goes down to 14, and in the end about 12-ish millimeters. That means that this has a good amount of authority in the blade, I would say. When it comes to flex, there is some flex, definitely enough that I would consider it safe. The web page just states medium. When I tried the measuring process that BlackFencer gives on other points of the web page, which is you take a body weight scale, you put the blade down, and then you press down onto the blade, and when it just starts bending, the weight you see in the display at that point, that is the value for flex, basically. And when I tried that with this blade, I always came out at about 10-ish kilograms, which is of course including the actual weight of the blade. Not the most accurate measurement, of course, because always what do you consider a slight bend or just starting to bend, but around that, I would say. Just from my own subjective impression, as I said, I would consider it quite safe, really, but stiff enough that I would say keep it in mind when fencing, when you are thrusting, so that when you connect you can take a bit of the force of the thrust out by compensating via your arms, really. And then you're perfectly good. Now, the upside of that, on the other hand, is that because of the POB, the width of the blade and the stiffness, this has a nice authority in the bind, really. And because it is comparatively stiff, or at least stiffer than the V4 light nylon longsword that they have, it is a bit more forgiving when you start to bind in your weak, for example, and then move to your strong, or when you parry a bit more towards your weak than with a comparatively more flexible blade. What can happen there, just from my experience fencing with some very flexible blades, is that you can just lose the sword of your opponent by just whipping through the weak, basically. You can just lose feel, and equally it can just whip right through a parry of yours. And that doesn't really happen with this one here, so that is quite nice. Generally, as far as I'm concerned, you know, this is just a joy to have and to work with. If you were to ask me why I got it, honestly, I would just say, you know, I think it's pretty neat. It's I'm a saber guy at heart, and this is a curved, long blade with one edge. It's basically a giant messer, so I personally couldn't resist. And it's just fun to have that together with other longswords that we have in the club, or that I personally own, just for a different feel from time to time. And I mean, that's one of the big advantages really of the BlackFencer nylons, as far as I'm concerned. They are affordable enough, comparatively speaking, that should you want to try something, it's a much lower investment, a much higher chance of you just having the funds to, you know, giving it a go compared to steel pieces. And they still handle really good and give you a good impression of what that form and shape of blade would do. So if you maybe just want to be a little extra in your longsword class, want to have something that you know, just try for funsies, or if you, I don't know, want to look into bow and fine, for example, then I would definitely say give it a go. It's a nice piece, it's fun to have, and it looks great. I certainly enjoy having mine. Cheers!